Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to my little slice of the digital land of Olean. So here we are back again with Maximum Entertainment 2.0, Chapter 13. It's all about music. Now, of course, if you want to listen to the music that I listen to here on the channel, I listen to Zen Buster music in the background. But absolutely fantastic. Another great one to choose would be Two Steps from Hell. Great orchestra music. When I spend my pastime of writing or reading or making up magic tricks and videos and things like that, having something in the background really does help. And I like orchestra style music where there's no lyrics, because sometimes the emotion that the music conveys is what really helps me get into the mood, but the lyrics can sometimes sway me away from the ideas that I'm trying to put forth. So let's go ahead and jump into it and start with chapter 13, which is all about music. Here we go. In the summer of 2018, Joshua J. mounted his genre-bending show, Six Impossible Things, in a nondescript space down on New York's Lower East Side. While much of it was original, a good chunk came directly from Josh's published repertoire. Yet even old standby routines that I had seen before felt new. The reason, in part, was because throughout the 75 minutes, music played unobtrusively in the background. Music that had been painstakingly selected, and it elevated every moment of the show. Frankly, if I were easing my way back into full-time performing, I would focus much of my energy on working more music into my act. Music by itself delivers an emotional kick, and when combined with your actions or words on stage, almost always enhances the entertainment experience. Few acts cannot be embellished, if not significantly improved by the judicious use of music. Certainly, David Copperfield and his team owe much of the success of their TV specials to their brilliant use of recorded music. And for the past few years, the Illusionists elevate almost every moment of their spectacular stage shows with high quality music. And a lot of that comes into play because it goes back to that same idea that we've talked about before. Like Doug Kahn has mentioned it and a couple other people. When you're performing, you don't want to have a lot of downtime. You want to have something interesting happening at all times. And having music happening keeps you invested in the moment of your show. And it can help for dramatic effect, because you can change up the pacing, the volume, you can change the context, the genre, you can change the sound from soft to more of like an intense patter. Yeah, it works really well. In the sport of figure skating, competitors and their coaches devote long hours to the careful selection of music to establish the perfect mood. All great movie directors depend on the Bernard Herrmann's, John Williams's, and Elmer Bernstein's of the world to build plot points in our field. Little has been written about this important subject, but that may be a reflection of the fact that each individual performer must find his or her own best musical accomplishment. Music can be used to cover slow moments, such as when volunteers come up to the stage and when they return to the audience. Let's give a big round of applause for Jim. And then the music kicks in, and then you're clapping, okay, and then it goes back down, and now you proceed. Build tension. Inside this box that has been here the entire time, ooh, we have, boom, drop the beat. The thing that you suspected all along, impossibly, is now in the box. Enhance frivolity. I'm not going to give an example of that one because I don't have one on hand. Signal a climactic moment, similar to what I just said there. So there's definitely some things to consider with your music. You can use it as part of the overall momentum of the show. Specific to our field, music can play a significant role in the magical process itself by overriding other sounds. Stage whispers can be muffled out. You can ask a volunteer her name and later use that information for laughs or otherwise. The tallness noises emitted by certain effects can be concealed. Telltale noises. In the reactions chapter, I wrote about targeting your words and actions. Music, too, must be similarly targeted toward a specific reason. A particular piece might be funny, inspirational, dramatic, soothing, romantic. Before you pick out your music, decide where you're headed, and only then seek out the music that best gets you here. So, for instance, every time I do one of my short videos, I pick out some music that kind of goes with the vibe. And what I went with last night, or this morning, the one that I just uploaded recently, is I wanted something that was a little bit spooky, but I also wanted something that was a little bit faster and lifted because I wanted it to be jovial, but still kind of creepy. So I went with something that was a little bit faster for it, the intensity of it, but it was still kind of that creepy melody. Music moves. Never forget that great music on its own affects the human mind. It moves us, it soothes us, it uplifts us. When you attend a classical music concert, and if you haven't done that recently, do it! Exclamation point! The first one of the chapter. There is nothing much to see except the back of the conductor flailing his or her arms and the small movements of the musicians. And yet, at the climax of a thrilling program, we often leap to our feet, having been stirred intensely by the sounds of flowing over us. Good music, apart from any magic you might do, makes us happy or scared or excited. Why waste that readily available resource? Listen to the best known classical music, go back to the best known popular music, and check out theme songs from hit movies. Each genre offers a treasure trove of emotion packed music. Find and use great music. It will be one of the best investments of your time that you can possibly make. Musical miscues. As with everything else in magic, there are several types of mistakes performers make when using music. First, there are the inappropriate choices. Two examples I've seen. Circus theme music as volunteers walk up to the stage. This feels like a slight put down to the volunteers. A mentalist uses this theme from the television show Jeopardy for his dramatic climax. The music produces a laugh, which is good, but it breaks the tension he is building. So for the specific time, it is a poor choice. Next is the problem of music cliches. One knowledgeable friend pointed out that during the last quarter of the 20th century, it seemed half the magicians who used music used the same 10 or 12 pieces. That's probably correct and insane! Exclamation point. The world is awash in great music, including royalty-free music, such as Zenbuster Music. Check it out on YouTube today. Again, no affiliation there. I just like Roberto Blake. Go find something that doesn't make you sound like the guy on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1965. Yet another exclamation point. And do we need another piece of magic performed to Thus Spoke Zarathustra, popularized in the film 2001, A Space Odyssey? I fell asleep during that movie, I'll have you know. I still have not, to this day, finished it. I don't think so. Same with Mission Impossible, Eye of the Tiger, any time-worn pop song that has the word magic in it, and other overused themes. Still, if you use one of those cliches in an original way, then maybe you're fine. I would prefer to go with the song Rude by the band Magic. At the end of this, I am going to go over a short list of music that I do listen to on a regular basis, just to give you an idea into the mind of, of what I enjoy. And then you guys can comment down below what music you enjoy. The hierarchy of music. Just as with tricks, there is a good, better, best ladder for music, or specifically the way music is used in magic. The three options are: the music sets the mood, but remains in the background. This is by far the most common usage, and is absolutely fine, assuming you have spent time and effort finding the right background music. The music is meant to be noticed and make some sort of statement about what's happening on stage. The pace quickens, or becomes softer, or dramatic, or builds to a crescendo in reasonably tight coordination with what the magician is doing. The music and the act are tightly entwined. That is, things the magician does are precisely timed and choreographed to the music. Vanishes, appearances, restorations, etc. happen. Zap on the drum beat, or the sudden change in rhythm, or exactly at the start or end of a piece of music. So I used this point before because one of the people I'm going to talk about later is Benson Boone. And it's not just the music itself, it's what he does in his live performances that makes, in my mind, makes him a great performer, not just musician. Just like many others that also do similar things, he does flips and stuff like that, which is his one of his trademark things. And he can do it on the beat, which is, I mean, it's just so impressive because timing is everything in music, just like it is with a lot of things. It is in magic as well because you're creating that, you're building with the music and all that. Music is everything that he's doing. And so in the background, he does a flip on beat, on note, and then still goes into the next part of the song with elevated vocals. That's impressive athleticism. So keep in mind that it can happen the other way too. That if music is the main point of what you're doing, the other part of the performance is you can still work those things in there and still do stellar work. Very important. Music plays such a huge role, but so does all the other little things that you're doing along the way. The audience, consciously or subconsciously, gives the performer extra credit. The music, magic, connection signals here's a pro who worked hard to give us the best show. This option is often, but not always, the most desirable and most difficult to achieve. For most performers, you're going to start with option 1, and if appropriate, work up to 2. Then, as you may become more professional and have more resources, you move to the third option. Be aware, however, that this music hierarchy is somewhat different from the one for magic routines, puzzle, trick, extraordinary moment. Here, the first or second level truly might be what's best for you. For example, in the intimate setting for 6 Impossible Things, it would have been hokey to move to option 2. Background music was the best choice in that situation, and carefully selected background music is the best in many acts. Think outside the music box. The more thought you give to how you use those words are pretty similar, the greater the dividends, and those who look beyond the obvious will reap the biggest reward. In his July 2018 Genie review of Dennis Beer's Magic on Tap video set, Nathan Cole Marsh astutely details one creative example. There is no music at all within the first 30 minutes, now I'm saying music all over the place, 30 minutes of Beer's theatrical close-up show, and there are only 2 tracks used at all within the show. The first occurs during Beer's oil and water routine. While waiting for the cards to separate, Beer begins to lightly drum his fingertips on the tabletop in a gentle staccato. We barely hear the soft piano music that enters and gently grows louder underneath his tapping. We have not heard any music prior during the performances, and it takes a moment for the brain to register what is happening. The music almost seems to come out of the drumming of his fingers. It is a lovely moment. So we know that Beer gave serious thought to his music selection, and then, equally importantly, he thought about exactly how to use it. Dennis Beer found a new way to incorporate the power of music. Can you? Control yourself! Exclamation point. You're in public. Control yourself. In recent years, the biggest breakthrough in sound is the ability of the performer to control the music. This smashes the old paradigm in which the performer depended upon either the live musicians or an audio person for the correct volume, the timing of effects, starting and stopping music, etc. I received excellent tips about using and controlling music from several top professionals, including Ken Scott, Trig Watson, Joel Ward, and Sharon Farquhar. Not surprisingly, much of their advice overlapped. Since Sean shared the most detailed advice, I'm going to present his take on the subject. Sean Farquhar captured the 2009 FISM Grand Prix Close-Up Championship and IBM's first place for both stage and sleight of hand. Regarding music tracks with 5 seconds of silence before the music plays is a clever idea. It allows me to activate the remote before the music begins, so my hands are free and far from the remote. I find it less likely that the audience will discover I am my own sound person. Too often I see magicians pushing the button in their front pant pocket and the music starts immediately. This becomes obvious to the audience as well. That's a great tip, but for some high energy performers, the delay might not be necessary if the button pushing is much less noticeable. KW. I have two remotes, and every track has 5 seconds of silence. One remote I carry in my vest pocket, and the other is in the edge of my prop box or corner of my side table. This allows me to activate my music in two different ways. If I were to use a handheld microphone, I would tape the second remote directly to the handle of the mic. This is the perfect place and would allow easy access. Others have used a magnetic reed switch to activate their remotes to trigger their cues. These are generally worn on their ankles and allow total hands-free use. Although I personally am not a fan of this method, I have seen it used effectively. The secret was in the placement of the magnet to the remote. Both were secured by tension bands to the ankles of the performer, with one to the side of the foot and the other to the back. Many make the mistake of placing them both to the side, but this often results in unintentional activation. By placing them offset and in some cases at different heights, the risk is minimized. This means the performer must move one foot into a slightly unnatural position to activate the switch, but it makes it a lot less risky. Regardless of where the remote is placed, there is always a chance that a cue could be triggered accidentally. Levent Semkently, one of my favorite performers, he's at leventmagic.com, has devised an amazing holder for a remote that secures it in the pocket and makes it easy to locate the primary button. There are a number of internet forums dedicated to creating devices to hold remotes and the triggering units. Now, just like we got into with the hardware for sound, this is really getting into some deep dive hardware, which is really it's kind of dry material. So I want to do a little bit of a break here. We only have 2 pages left before we get to chapter 14 for lighting. So why don't we go ahead and plop in my coin purse, which I have found recently. It had been missing. Fell out of my pocket, and one of my kids found it. So we're going to go ahead and do our wall push-ups today. And I hope you join me, because it's really good to just get the limbs stretched out, especially if you've been sitting for a while, and get the heart rate pumping. Today we're going to do fast ones, okay? And we're just going to go until we can't do them anymore, which means to failure. And what's nice about that is you don't start counting until your body starts slowing down. And the reason why that is because going to failure is where your body builds muscle, okay? If you count to 10, 15 to 20 and you're not breathing hard, then you haven't pushed your body far enough. Now, is that going to be beneficial? Yes. 1 is beneficial. 2 is better. 3 is better. 4 is better. And you just keep going until you literally cannot push out another drop. So here we go. Make sure to keep your breath nice and even. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. I don't want to smack my face on the cement. And I do want to maintain engagement with you while I'm doing this. So I did have an idea that I saw from another video. I have this beautiful cement wall here that I'm getting acquainted with as I'm doing these push-ups. And I thought it'd be kind of cool if I got some LED lights and I shined them on the wall. So we're gonna look into some options that we can do that are like projector lights, and they can change the context of the wall. I think that'd be pretty cool. Now, of course, you guys at home that are watching this, you might be counting how many I'm doing. So how am I doing? Am I doing pretty good? I haven't kept any track of any numbers. I know how many I can normally do, but what's interesting about the brain is you can actually do more when you're not thinking about it. But I know that I can do, until I get tired, I can do about 20 or 25 of these before it starts to get too much. And typically when I do push-ups, I try to go for 35 because now that's how old I am. So I try to make sure I can at least maintain that. But I'm starting to feel that lactic acid building up in the shoulders, but I can't give up. I can't just stop because I feel it. I have to keep pushing until my body literally cannot do it anymore. And you can see how I'm still pushing up. You can still see I've got some fuel in the tank, so I'm just going to keep going and going and going. Energizer body. Oh, yeah, that's the feeling right there. That's what you want, but you don't want it to hurt. And you see how I'm slowing down? Okay, here we go. Yeah, there's more in there. Ooh, I hit my head on the wall, but that's good. That's what we want. We wanna feel tired. We can't give up. No matter what we do in life, we have to keep pushing no matter how hard things get. These are the goals that we place on ourselves, and we cannot fail ourselves. We owe ourselves too much. Keep pushing until you cannot push any more. It's not fair to yourself to give up too soon. Okay. We did good. We did good. How'd you do? Beautiful. Whew. Love it. Okay. Let's get back into it here. We are still on chapter Shake It Out. Don't forget to shake it out. That lactic acid had a chance to build up in your system. Breathe. Get a drink if you need to. Let yourself come back to rhythm. And then keep plugging along with Maximum Entertainment 2.0. Don't forget, we're doing the book sponsor giveaway. I already have the first book. All we need is enough money to send it out to somebody, and you guys decide who it goes to. You decide. So, here we go. It is essential to have a display that allows me to see which track is playing, and more importantly, which track is next in the show. In the past, there were LED units that would tell you the track number. But now with Media Monkey or Audio Ape, you can use an iPhone or iPad and see the current track, next track, and running time. They connect using a dedicated Wi-Fi network and can make a huge difference. As a performer who is always changing the show order to suit the venue, client, and my attitude, it is not uncommon for me to be uncertain which effect is next in the show. With Media Monkey or Audio Ape, I can relax as I can easily see if I need to know. I can easily see all I need to know. Entry-level applications such as Go Button with Audio Ape are exceptionally easy to program. They allow the performer to lower and raise the volume of the tracks with a remote in the addition to advancing a track. For performers who just want to control their music, it is an ideal solution. My favorite now is Media Monkey by Charles Peachcock. It works with their laptop and allows you to control QLab. QLab is the industry standard and is found worldwide in theaters, casinos, and cruise ships. On Disney Cruise Line, it is used on the Walt Disney Theater, in the Walt Disney Theater, and the secondary venue as well. To be able to just plug my Media Monkey into their system and control my entire show is amazing. Not just controlling the music, but the video and any other DMX device that is attached to the system's universe. Media Monkey is also able to control keynote and pre-presenter. It is for those who do public speaking and require slides as well. A lot of context there, a lot of names there that are real nice, and the point that they're making here is compatibility. So if you have your tightly contained unit of tech that you can take to a venue, and all you got to do is just plug and play, now you have access to all their resources. If you're using something that is not standard to what everybody else has, or at least compatible, then now you don't have access to those great resources, and you have to set up your own stuff if they even allow that. So consider what is being said here and look up these names. When shopping for a remote system, make certain it is operating on a band that is legal in all countries. Media Monkey uses 433 megahertz and is legal worldwide. On October 13, 2018, all wireless systems using the 600 megahertz band became prohibited in the United States. This is a result of the FCC auctioning off the band range. The companies like T-Mobile have purchased it, and the wireless microphone companies, cellular internet providers, and others have been ordered to vacate the space or face fines and criminal sanctions. This means if your wireless device uses any band from 614 to 698 megahertz, it may currently be illegal. Thanks, Sean. Quick side story that I'm not sure if this is what they're talking about here, but I remember this time that I was leaving the house with my sister. She was driving, and we pulled out of the driveway, and it was a corner. It was on the corner of the house. We were around the corner, and somebody flagged us down that somebody had called for my sister. So she pulled over in front of the house, ran inside, and was on the phone. Well, I was fidgeting with the radio, and this had to be had to be like 20 years ago, which is what I've been saying lately, and that's legitimately true. I was a teenager 20 years ago, so I was fiddling with the radio, and I stopped, and I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. It was my sister's voice. I had somehow picked up the phone call from the house. Now, I don't know how any of that technology works. I don't know how it managed to pick up the frequency, but I don't know if that's what they're referring to about the megahertz. I don't know how the radio picked up the phone call, and it was a home phone. It wasn't a cell phone, because cell phones weren't really that big back then. So, here we go. Nathan Coe Marsh, writing for the Charles... Oop, must be something on the wall there. Well, that's fun. Anyway, Nathan Coe Marsh, writing for the Charles Peacock, I don't know how to say that, blog, offers additional highly practical ideas about handling audio remotes. Gotta get back into it. audioaperemote.com /put audio ape remote. However you decide to control your music, your main goal is to not draw attention to the process. The music should just flow seamlessly into your act. So that's a good point. So like if you're breaking up your performance with click, 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 then, or if you're waiting for the music to cue in because you click it or whatnot, then it looks, it takes away the magic of the music, which is behind the scenes. You just want it to play as if by magic, because that's supposed to be a magic show. So, to be clear, I'm not endorsing any particular product, nor have I independently verified any of the above recommendations. All music control devices and software have their fans. Media Star from ProMystic, Audio Ape, Media Monkey, and Q Command from Deceptively Simple were the controllers mentioned most often when I asked around. Electronic products evolve quickly and leapfrog each other. So do your due diligence and then invest in the system that best meets your needs. I can't imagine you'll ever regret it. As much as I'm urging you to incorporate music into your act, I acknowledge that in certain specific cases, no music is the better choice. For example, if you have a reason why words from you or from audience members must be heard clearly, performing sans music could well be your best option. Then, two, if you use music through all or much of your show, silence can become a dramatic attention grabber. Like I said, something interesting should be happening at all times. So if they get used to hearing music, when it stops, they're going to perk up. They're going to think, well, what's going to happen next? Because the music stopped. So now there's a reason to pay attention. Not to say that they shouldn't have paid attention before. The music made them feel comfortable and safe. Stopping the music now put some texture into that. Flux would be a better word. As much as I'm urging you to... Oh, yeah, I already read that part. Okay. Soma shows the way. Hungarian magician Soma pronounced Shoma, captured the 2009 FISM Grand Prix Staged Championships. His winning act skillfully used music throughout, and he has much to say about magicians and music. Not long after that win, he wrote a couple of articles for a magic magazine on how to incorporate music into a magic act, and was kind enough to share some of his thoughts with me for this revised edition. He's working on his own book on this subject, so look for that when it's out. First up for Soma appropriately is. So I'll have to look that up because this book's been out for a while. So we'll see if we can find that Soma, Hungarian magician Soma. We'll look it up. Finding the right music. The amount of time spent finding the appropriate music varies with acts and performers. Sometimes I find a tune to go with an act straight away. Something I hear a song playing randomly on the radio. It says something, but I think it means sometimes I hear a song playing randomly on the radio that I just know is the music I want when I make those four aces appear. For other acts, it could take weeks or months before I find the right piece. The crucial thing is to have a sensibility for good music. When you hear it, you have to get a sense that it's the perfect complement to your show or trick. Enjoy rehearsing to it, working to it, and surrendering to the feeling conveyed by the music. A musical performance can only be complete when the performer is one with the music. Amateur music. Let me caution everyone against selecting music from specialty CDs recorded from magicians. These tunes are often poorly recorded and produced. If we're going to choose something for our act, it should be well produced, recorded professionally in the best high-end studio environment. On the same note, I wouldn't encourage anyone to pick their tunes from reputable film score reproduction CDs or amateur completions. Amateur music is for amateur magicians. If you want to make a professional impression, go musically pro! Exclamation point. The point that I would make against that, and not that this is a bad thing, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, but a lot of people are going independent with their music and have professional grade stuff. So, not as a point of contention, but as a furthering of that, do your due diligence, because there are professionals in the quote unquote amateur space because they're not signed or licensed under a record label, but they have just as good content because you have access to those resources. So just really do your due diligence and do that research. Royalty-free music sites and the quality of music they offer have quietly improved over the past few years. I can wholeheartedly recommend looking through those online websites. The variety of music is overwhelming, the quality is excellent in most cases, and the organization of the sites is straightforward. PremiumBeat.com is one great example. Thank you, Soma. It must be pointed out that there are certain legal issues concerning use of non-royalty free music. Seek out competent advice. Get a lawyer. Even the lawyer that I listen to on YouTube says, "I'm not your lawyer. Get a lawyer." That just goes without saying. A lawyer who is not your lawyer cannot offer you legal advice. It's commentary. End notes. When music is used to set a mood behind a performer who talks, too soft is always better than too loud. One of the things that I have a problem with my music, to my ear, it might sound like it's too loud, but to the microphone, it's too soft. Or adversely, it could be the other way around. So I hate uploading a video that sounded good to me, but the sound ended up being too loud, and then I got to pull the video. So I would almost rather not being able to hear the music to losing my vocal because of the music. If music is available to you, at the very least, you should walk off to music. Good exit music beats boast the final moments. Boost, not boast. Boast. Not boast. Boost. We're getting to the end of the chapter here. We're almost through. Similarly, it's smart to have music play before your show starts. It helps build anticipation for your performance. If it fits the moment, play upbeat music as volunteers make their way to the stage. Music with lyrics can be effective, but you cannot be talking while the singer is singing. So that goes back to what I was saying. Like, it's really hard for me to focus in the moment when there's lyrics playing because I'm in the mode of the lyrics. So, and then the same thing token here, talking over somebody else who's talking, the singer, is not beneficial to your show. And lastly, this secant observation from Busy Pro Michael Kent, as published on his blog. I recently spent 2 hours editing some bumper music so that it fit my show perfectly. The result? About 15 seconds of music that plays in my show under applause and my talking. The audience never really hears it, but I wanted it to be perfect. And though they don't recognize it, it contributes to the feeling I'm trying to create in the room. If I didn't put in that work, the result wouldn't be the same. The audience might not know exactly what it was, but they'd realize something wasn't right. It's about details. Yes, it's all about the details in music and everywhere else in your act. To sum up this chapter, use music more, use music better, use better music. Hacha. Final analogy for the chapter is I want you to imagine a mesh, right? Just some type of container that has these little holes in it. And then I want you to imagine that you're filling that up with some type of substance. You've seen this analogy before with the jar. You're putting the rocks in, you put the dirt in, you put the sand in, and then you fill it with water. And every time you put something in, you're like, is it full? Technically, yes, but more can fit in. Is it full? Technically, yes, but more can fit in. And here's what the context is for music. Imagine that the space around you for noise is empty, right? And it starts empty. What are you going to put into it? You've got your sound, not just your words, not just your patter, but your movement. You're walking around, people are breathing. This is just your background noise, right? Then you have your music, you have your vocals, you have whatever else on top of that. But then you have something at the bottom, okay? And what ends up happening is that what if you take a breath? It's dead silence. There's no noise. So what you want to do is what they're talking about is putting in something at the bottom, a layer at the bottom where you're layering in the sound so that if something does happen in your show where it's quiet, at least there's still this rolling at the bottom. There's still this foundation of noise so that you don't ever have this dead space. Now, obviously, you're filling in those holes. But if you want complete silence, you silence that track too because it becomes jarring. That's exactly what you're saying. You might not even know that that foundation is there, but you will know when it's gone. So keep that in mind. Now, real quick, we're going to talk about some music that I listen to almost daily. David Kishner, Daylight. I listen to this on repeat thousands of times. I'll put on the longest playthrough I can find on YouTube, and I will listen to it for 10 hours straight. I listen to it all the time. Recently, I've been listening to Benson Boone, a majority of his things, but mostly the beautiful things. I listen to that a lot. And then the last one that I have to look it up because I just started listening to it recently. I believe it's Yulu Wolf. Johnny Cash was was just about to play. Listen to Johnny Cash. Yeah, Eula Wolf. YELAWOLF. You and Me. So there's a guy. His name is Youngblood. If you're not familiar with him, he did a cover of a Queen song. Queen? Yeah, pretty sure it's Queen. And in the playlist, the next song was Yulu Wolf, You and Me. So I listened to that playlist, which is just a random playlist. Just if you type in Youngblood, um, see if I can find it. just so I have the, yeah, here it is. It's actually right there. Um, I was made for loving you. it's Kiss. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure I had the information correct. Because who was the one? Queen. That was a different one. I was listening to something else. Youngblood does I Was Made for Loving You, which was a Kiss song. And that's part of that playlist that has Yulu Wolf. Citizen Soldier. Listen to that on repeat as well. This playlist, it says My Mix. Mixes playlist YouTube. Oh, okay, this makes sense then. Okay. Let's talk about this AI thing here. So YouTube put together a playlist of music that it knows that I listen to regularly. And so this is what's in there. So I'll just go down through the list. There's Youngblood, Yulu Wolf, Citizen Soldier, Poets of the Fall, which I've loved for years. A lot of Citizen Soldier, David Kishner, some Billie Eilish. I think there's only like one song there. Every once in a while, it does something for me. 21 Pilots is in there. Jelly Roll, Mother, which was Danzig originally, but this is the Lizzie version. Imagine Dragons. I already said Jelly Roll, Johnny Cash, some other stuff that I'm not familiar with, but it's in my list. Luke Combs, listen to him. Let's see, Avenged Sevenfold. I haven't listened to them in a while, but there's some stuff there that I listen to. And yeah, I think that's about it. Breaking Benjamin. Yeah, some of that stuff I listen to. But some of the first stuff I was talking about is an everyday thing. That's the first like 5 to 10 songs of that playlist. I just keep cycling through. Solid stuff. So yeah, let me know down below what kind of music you guys listen to, or what kind of music that you like to have in the background when you're working on different projects, because those could be two different things. So thank you, everybody, and remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you tomorrow for chapter 14, which is all about lighting. Lights, camera, action. Don't forget to subscribe, because it really does help out the channel. And of course, don't forget to check out the video that's just for you. Yep, just for you. Ta-da!